What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I am partnering up with Mooncat to show you their brand new Pandora Unboxed collection. Now before we get into it, if you haven't heard of Mooncat before, they are a nail polish brand that is 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. And they just came out with this new Pandora Unboxed collection. We've got 9 brand new shades, and we've got a lot of variety in formulas here. So we've got shimmers, we've got multichromes, we've got magnetics, and we even have a glow-in-the-dark shade. So yeah, let me just dive into the swatches, then we can talk a little bit more about my thoughts on them, and then we can get into pricing, availability, and all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Mooncat base coat. So we'll start off with a polish that really spoke to my soul as soon as I saw it in the bottle. This is Serpents of Eden, and it is a really stunning green multichrome polish. So you can see, looking at it head on, primarily the color is this sort of lime green, but it really deepens depending on the angle that you're seeing it at, and it turns into more of like an apple green kind of color. But then at more angles, you see it shift into a teal, into a blue, and then even into a more purpley color at certain angles as well. So truly a stunning any time of year green for me. I think this is going to be such a perfect shade for the holidays, but I feel like this also just works forever because it's the perfect green. Next up, we have the shade Root of All Evil, and to be honest, I did not know what to expect with this color because it is very shifty in the bottle, but once I applied it, I was able to see some of the components in it a little bit better. So we've got this deep reddish purple jelly base, and then within that we've got this gorgeous iridescent shimmer that primarily looks like a green into blue shift, but you can also see a lot of other colors going on in there as well. At certain angles, I'm seeing a really beautiful deep blue, but at other angles, I was actually seeing a little bit of a yellowish color. So I started off with 2 coats, and I think that's where I saw a lot of the different colors come together, the purpley kind of color with the green, with the blue, but I was really curious to see what it would look like with a 3rd coat, so I applied that, and I feel like this is when it really just looked the most unique, and I really don't have any colors like this in my collection. It totally deepened that base color, so you can just see kind of a hint of that wine kind of color, and then all of that shimmer really comes alive on the nail, and it has that sort of lit from within glow kind of look that I love in deeper polishes. So I think it's really fun. It really does feel like 2 different polishes in one, because depending on my mood or how bright I want my manicure to be, I can really play around with the amount of coats I'm doing, and it doesn't look patchy or anything. So it's really easy to kind of choose the amount of depth I want for this one. Next up, we have the shade The Glory of Innocence, which I immediately had to put on. So I'm wearing it in the intro and outro of this video, and I'm still wearing it now because it's absolutely stunning. And this one is a soft purple holo polish, but in addition to the holo, we also have this gorgeous shifty duochrome shimmer in there that primarily looks green, but at certain angles you can see a lot of that teal into blue shift as well. And I have to say, I don't think my video did this one justice. It is such a beautiful color, and I think the combination of all of these cooler tones together just looks so beautiful and mermaidy, but also a little bit ethereal and dreamlike. And especially with that holo sprinkled in, it just really becomes very special. So I loved this one, and I'm gonna be very sad when it's time to take it off. Next up, we have the shade Lust for Vengeance, which is another, in my opinion, very unique color combination. So we have this deeper pink base color, and then within it we have a duochrome green shimmer. So at most angles it actually looks like this really intense green, which in itself I absolutely love, because if you know me, you know I love a very sharp contrasting shimmer. So having that pink plus the green is just so interesting and different, but at certain angles it actually looks like a fuchsia shimmer. So really a color combination that I haven't seen before. There's something about it that feels definitely like a little evil enchanted garden kind of vibe, but I also feel like this could work as a great subtle holiday manicure because of the color combination. So really enjoyed this one. I thought it looked gorgeous in 2 coats. Moving on, we have The Arsonist, which is a really beautiful rich red shimmer, and this is another one that I just immediately fell in love with, and another one that I think would be such a perfect holiday color, but because of that classic red shade. I think this is also just a perfect any time of year color. So looking at it, of course you see that really rich red shimmer, but at certain angles you can actually see a little bit extra warmth coming through, and it almost looks like a little bit orangey. So it definitely has a sort of flame-like coloring to it, which makes the name totally perfect for this one. And there also appears to be very teeny tiny flakies running throughout. So those are just like the little flecks that I think hit the light a little bit differently and add a little bit of dimension, which I totally love in a polish as well. And then we have Green-Eyed Monster, which is a white shimmer that also has a green shimmer running throughout, and it does glow in the dark. So in the dark you can see it's this really intense greenish color, and I will always just love a glow in the dark polish. I think they're so fun, especially to do nail art over them, because then you kind of get this almost silhouetted design with them. So actually this one really impressed me in terms of formula. The first coat applied so smoothly and easily, and it actually wasn't even patchy on my nails, and I was pretty pleased with how opaque it looked in 2 coats. Although I could still see a very tiny touch of visible nail line, I feel like this look is very soft and subtle, and I love that greenish sparkle running throughout. Without the glow in the dark feature of it, I feel like this manicure on its own kind of gives a little bit of a bridal look, which I really enjoyed, but they do recommend doing 3 coats just to get the full amount of that glow in the dark brightness to it. So I did end up applying a 3rd coat, and again, the formula was just really easy and workable. It wasn't too thick and gloopy, which I tend to find happens with a lot of glow in the dark polishes. Now, they do tend to thicken over time, but you can add thinner and that doesn't affect the glow in the darkness of them. But let me show you what this one looks like in the dark. So here's what it looked like in my bathroom after charging my nail onto the light for a couple of seconds, and it was so vibrant. You can actually see the light is so bright that it's actually making the little countertop that I'm sitting my finger on glow as well. So this is a very bright glow in the dark. I was really impressed with it. So now let's finish off with the 3 magnetic polishes. This first one is called Pandora's Box, and unmagnetized, it actually looks like a really beautiful coppery kind of color, but once you magnetize it, it actually separates out into a completely different color. So we've got the purple on the bottom, and then the magnetic shimmer is a very strong yellow color. So the way that I like to magnetize my polishes, I know I mention this all the time, but just in case anybody's new to it, I always like to say I like to do 2 coats just applied normally for full coverage, and then I'll do a 3rd coat, and while that's still wet, that's when I'll apply my magnet. And you can actually see just on the little edge of my nail, it very immediately shifted. This is a very reactive polish to the magnet, and I was blown away when I saw this one magnetized in the cat eye style. I absolutely did not expect this color. We have the most intense, cool toned royal purple base and that beautiful yellow gold stripe running across it is so stunning. I loved this combination, and again, I wasn't expecting it from the color of the polish in the bottle, so I totally love that. And I always like to show you guys what it looks like magnetized in the velvet style as well, which is where I kind of just hover the magnet around my nail and I pull all of the pigment to the top of the manicure. So the top layer of the manicure is all of the magnetic pigment, and then the bottom of the manicure is the color without the magnetic pigment. So when I pull my nails down and at extreme angles, you can just see the purple, but most of the time you're looking at that intense yellow color. So I thought this was a really fun way to wear it as well, but I just cannot get over it in the cat eye style. Then we have the shade Curiosity's Trap, which was another one that looked totally different once I magnetized it. So in the bottle and on the nail unmagnetized, it actually looks like this really soft, sort of army green kind of color, and it was a little bit sheer in the first coat, but I did get full coverage in the second. So I did apply those normally, and then as I usually do, I went in with my 3rd coat, and while that was still wet, I held the magnet over it. And again, I just was not expecting the level of difference that I got in this color. It was just so different from that greenish shade. I mean, I guess it makes sense because blue and yellow do make green, but just how intense that beautiful blue base color was underneath it was so unexpected for me. It really does look very cosmic to me, and having that yellow stripe across it does look like a shooting star or some sort of galaxy type of vibe. So really beautiful. Can't get enough of this one as well. And then once again, magnetizing this one in the velvet style too, and I basically just did the same thing, and it is a similar yellow magnetic pigment. So on camera, I feel like it does look pretty similar to the other magnetic just because of the way that I like to do the velvet style of magnetization, but in person, you can see that blue in the underneath layer at certain angles of my nail. So kind of just depends on what color you're going for. So this one has that blue undertone, whereas the other one has that really strong purple undertone to it. And last but not least, we have the shade Forbidden Fruit, which I think this one is a little bit less of a shock once you see it magnetized because you can see the colors within it before you magnetize it as well. So we've got this really deep eggplant purple kind of base color, and then we have this beautiful green magnetic pigment running throughout. So once more, just applied 2 coats for full coverage. Then I did a nice thick coat as my third coat for magnetizing, and while that was still wet, I hovered my magnet over it. And I will say, the one thing I didn't expect with this one was how much this gave me a Northern Lights kind of vibe. I wasn't quite sure what to expect, even though I knew the color scheme going into it, but I feel like just seeing how deep that purple base color is, plus that combination of that really intense green magnetic, which I feel like I haven't really seen before, was just such a beautiful combo, and it definitely reminded me of a beautiful night sky. So I feel like this could be such a beautiful background for some nail art, especially with like tree silhouettes in front of it. So really loved it in the cat eye style, and of course magnetizing it in the velvet style as well. And I think this actually gave a totally different vibe when it was magnetized this way. For whatever reason, maybe it's just because Halloween is close, this gave me such a zombie nails kind of vibe, and I feel like it almost looks like this blackened sort of color around the edges and then this vibrant gradient of green in the center, almost like your nails are kind of glowing with this zombie or radioactive situation going on. So I thought that was really cool and different, but again, I feel like this could work as a really beautiful background for some nail art. So here is the whole collection together, and I am totally in love with these colors. I think they're really unexpected, and I have to say, I think they're actually super colorful, especially for this time of year. I feel like each polish just had multiple colors going on within it, which was a really interesting choice that I ended up liking a lot. I think the color combinations were so unique. You could definitely see it with the magnetic polishes, but even just having these contrasting shimmers within these different colored bases was so unexpected for me, and I thought that was really fun. And I also feel like a lot of these colors, even though they are on the brighter and more colorful side, I think they're gonna work so well for the holiday season. Just seeing the Arsonist next to Serpents of Eden, I think is just a beautiful Christmas type of manicure. I think that's gonna look so nice together. But yeah, I feel like I can see so many uses for these colors. I think they're absolutely stunning, and the formulas were really easy and beginner friendly as well. The magnetics were just super reactive to the magnet. As soon as I had the magnet near my nails, they started to shift, which I think is really great, especially if you're just getting started. And like I said, the glow in the dark one was really easy to work with as well. So yeah, let's talk about the collection a little bit more. So those are the polishes, and I have to say, I love this collection. I just feel like it is so colorful, and I really just love to see that this time of year. I feel like it's so often that we see a lot of these deeper, moodier colors, but there is just so much going on in each color here where you actually get multiple different colors in one, and everything is just so vibrant and saturated, and I love to see that. It really does feel very refreshing. I loved the magnetics. I love how drastically different they look once you magnetize them. I just think that's super fun. And I was also really impressed with that glow in the dark shade. I do have prior experience using their glow in the dark polishes because they did do some for their Nightmare Before Christmas collab, and I honestly loved those. I thought they were amazing, but I feel like somehow they took an amazing formula and improved it even more for this, because I think this one is even better. It was just so vibrant and glowy, and it applied so smoothly and easily. So definitely impressed with that one, really impressed with the whole collection, and I've already started wearing them, so I'm just really enjoying these. Now, as far as pricing and availability, all these polishes come in the regular 12 milliliter bottles. They do feature a wide flat brush that has a rounded tip, so application is really easy. And the price does vary based on the formula. The 3 magnetic polishes retail for $16 USD each, and the rest of the collection retails for $15 USD each. And I do want to make a quick note, with magnetic nail polishes, you do need a magnet. However, Mooncat does have an offer where anytime you buy a magnetic polish on their website, you do get a free magnet with your order, which I think is super awesome because once you have a magnet, you don't need to buy different ones for different brands. You can just use that magnet. So I really appreciate them including that in the purchase. You don't have to worry about picking that out separately. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this collection. Which of the shades is your favorite? Which of these formulas is your favorite? And are you planning on picking any of the shades up? Let me know in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, I would really appreciate if you could give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. But yeah, I really appreciate you all, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's would you rather question is, would you rather always eat breakfast for dinner or always eat dinner for breakfast? This is actually something that I only realized relatively recently in my adulthood. I used to hate breakfast. I feel like I've said this before on a fun fact, but I used to hate breakfast. I am not really a big fan of sweet breakfasts in general. I mean, if I'm going out for brunch, I love like, you know, pancakes and French toast and all that, but in general, I'm just not a huge fan of a sweet breakfast. And I do definitely strongly prefer a savory breakfast, but I don't know. I feel like breakfast is my least favorite meal of the day because the foods that you eat for breakfast typically are just not my favorite at all. And whenever I eat a non-breakfast food for breakfast, I feel like that is when I am the happiest and have the best day. So I would absolutely choose to eat dinner for breakfast because I would love to have some sort of delicious savory meal for breakfast. I feel like that is what makes me feel whole, and I think I would feel very empty if I was having breakfast for dinner because I don't love breakfast foods. However, that being said, I do really enjoy eggs. Although sometimes, I don't know if anybody else gets this, but like sometimes I randomly, like I'll be eating eggs and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I love eggs. They taste so delicious. And then I'll have this moment where I realize I'm eating an egg and I get so disgusted that I have to stop eating it immediately. That has to be a common phenomenon. Sometimes it's just because I like them over easy. Sometimes it's just like they look very slightly like boogers and then I'm like, oh, can't eat that ever again. But then I I'm fine the next day. But yeah, in that moment, sometimes I just get so horrified by it that I just have to stop eating it. And I actually, even though I don't love a sweet breakfast, I do really enjoy oatmeal. I don't like pre-made oatmeals. I like to make it myself because then I can control the sweetness. And I also do love pork roll, egg, and cheese because I'm from New Jersey. But yeah, in general, and I have actually, now that I'm saying it, we've made pork roll, egg, and cheese for dinner a fair amount of times and I've always really enjoyed that. But in general, I think I would always choose to have dinner for breakfast. Like imagine having like chicken marsala for breakfast. That would be so fun. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I would choose. But I'm curious to hear what everybody else would choose. So let me know in the comments. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.